I mean, they're just the most gorgeous oaty toffee-flavoured loveliness. I'm going to be today using these, my daughter's absolute favourite. I had to hide these from her because otherwise she cuts them open and eats them. My lovely caramelly melted sweetness. Oh, it smells gorgeous. You can smell the toffee flavour from it just as soon as it's... Maybe it's gone off. Just as soon as it's melted. Oh dear. Simon, have you got a plate? I couldn't say the word. Hello, my darlings. Today we're going to be making flapjacks, which is a peculiar word because if you say it enough times, it stops meaning anything, which is really weird. But you're doing it now, aren't you? I would be. Anyway, so yes, flapjacks. Really simple, easy recipe to do. Really fantastic, really quick, and so delicious. I mean, they're just the most gorgeous oaty toffee-flavoured loveliness. And they're just great for lunchboxes, tea time, snacks, breakups, Wednesdays, anything you like, really. Absolutely perfect. I'm going to be mixing something in the flapjack style. This is the wonderful thing about this recipe. It's very, very versatile. So you can add choc chips or raisins, apricots, cranberries, anything you like, as long as it's between, I think it's 150 to 300 grams in the recipe. It can handle that much. I'm going to be today using these, my daughter's absolute favourite. I had to hide these from her because otherwise she cuts them open and eats them. These are sun-dried sour cherries, which she just loves. They're really gorgeously tangy and sour. When you mix that with the toffee sweetness of the flapjack, it is just a divine combination. So, without further ado, I'm just going to open these because they are vacuum packed and it'll just let the air get in and let them rise carefully. So I'll be able to spoon them into the bowl later. So I'll put that there. Right, first thing we have to do is turn on my hob. Now, I have used this hob several times and I still am nervous about remembering how to use it. Got it working. It's got this really weird ringlet, so I've got a hair grip caught in it, but anyway, I'm sure it's fine. If it explodes, you'll know why. So, all we have to do, and this is why it's so simple, butter in there, sugar in there. Oh, that's too hot, that's too hot, that's too hot. Not frying anything. Sugar in there and the golden syrup. All of this combines to make the most magnificent toffee sauce. You basically just wrap the oats in and it's just so easy to do, she says, trying to get rid of everything off this. That's the thing about syrup, it's so sticky. But it is essential. It is a fairly essential part of it. It kind of adds to the chewiness of everything. You know, flapjacks are sort of slightly chewy, slightly crumbly, slightly crunchy. It's just a perfect combo. And as this is an absolutely gigantic slab of butter, so I should have asked Simon if he could chop it up for me. But I just said to him, I need this much butter. So bless his heart, he just did as he told. It's like a computer, you have to program him. And I didn't give him enough instructions. So I have this huge chunk of butter. Luckily, this hob is like super duper efficient. And it goes to maximum heat in seconds. Oh, let me turn it down a bit more because it's really, really hot. And I only want to mix this in together till it all melts together. It's not supposed to cook or anything. You're literally just creating a toffee sauce. I'll put that in there. I'm going to use the wooden spoon, something that's a little bit more vicious, a little bit harder. And it'll make it into a toffee sauce a little bit quicker. So, just giving it a bit of elbow grease there, and that's melting really speedily. As I said, it's not about cooking it, you're not making it, you're not out making a caramel. I've just chucked it everywhere. You're just literally melting everything together. So I would say, I'm going to turn that off now because we don't really need any more heat. The pan is hot enough for that last little tiny nobble of butter in there. And then what I'm doing is just basically making it mix together. So the sugar's melted, the syrup's melted, the butter's melted, and all we've got is this beautiful caramelly kind of liquid. That's all you need. It doesn't need to be bubbling, boiling, or anything. So if you do start to see it bubble and boil, please turn it right down. Unfortunately, this is going to make this noise until the fan cools down, but it's quite speedy, so that's pretty good. So now I've got that like that, got my big bowl for easy mixing. And to be honest, I personally find it easier to mix with a wooden spoon. So I'll just pop my oats in and pop my lovely caramelly melted sweetness. Oh, it smells gorgeous. You can smell the toffee flavour from it just as soon as it's, maybe it's gone off, just as soon as it's melted. Absolutely delicious. Mix this all in. We should move this over here because it's going to keep getting in the way. There we go. Mix that all in. Now you do this first. If you are going to be using things like choc chips and stuff, I warn you to let it cool a little bit. Don't forget, you can also do the toffee sauce in the microwave. Just keep an eye on it, because again, you don't want it to burn, you don't want it to bubble up too much. Keep taking it out at, say, 10-second, 20-second, 30-second increments, whatever you prefer. Just make sure you keep stirring it, and then when it's kind of nearly all melted, just take it out, because the bowl will probably be hot enough itself to keep melting that last little knob of butter. So this is quite mixed in. Okay, this is ready now for the cherries. As I said, since I've undone them, they've slowly got the air in. This is 250 grams worth of cherries. I'm not going to put the whole 250 grams in. I'm just going to put in a little bit, just to, because I know my daughter likes to have these plain. I don't know, she really loves sour stuff, so she'll save a few for her treats. And then all you do is mix it in. As I say, with choc chips, if you're going to put choc chips in, let it cool a bit, because otherwise they will just melt at this stage. It's absolutely fine to let it go quite room temperature cold. Won't affect it in the slightest. All that's going to happen is the oats will just absorb a bit of the toffee flavour, but they do that anyway when they're cooking, so it's no big deal. So I probably put in about, what, 200 grams? And you can see how much is in there. So, you know, it's perfectly up to you how much you want, how little you want, whatever. Of course, you can also have it plain and just have normal flapjacks. And then when they're done, when they're finished, you can drizzle chocolate all over them, which is also another way of doing it, which is something I do. This is a non-stick baking sheet with greaseproof paper. And all I'm going to do is just pour this on top. I mean, I can be quite quick with this, because I said if I was using chocolate, I'd have to wait for a little bit. But these sour cherries are all dried and ready to go, ready to rumble. Although they're dried, they're not like really hard and chewy. It's like raisins, basically. You know, you can get raisins out of the pack straight there, shove them straight into a cake or whatever, and they've still got that little bit of moisture left in them, which is fab, and that's exactly the same for these cherries. So I'm just going to spread this out a bit. Whatever implement you want to use, I mean, I've got the spatula just in case this needs to be a bit flatter. Ooh, move some of the cherries over there. They seem to have all clumped. There we go. So we get some even cherries around it, and all you have to do is just flatten it on the baking tray. This really is just so ridiculously simple. I mean, you just melt up the wet ingredients, which, I mean, they're not really wet. Sugar's not wet, but you know what I mean. Just melt the sugar, the syrup, and the butter. Mix it into the measured out oats. Stir in your chosen addition if you want one. Again, as I said, you know, we'll leave it plain. If it's choc chips, give it a little while to cool down so you don't melt them when you put them in the pan, because you really want them to cook in the flapjack so everybody gets a nice choc chip. And then you just pop it in the oven. And that's about it. Now, if your baking tray is too big or too small or whatever, what you need is one that's kind of like this, that's got a lip. I'll put a link to it, so you can either buy it if you see it in the description, or if you've got one similar, then you can use it, or, you know, at least it'll give you an idea, because I don't actually remember the exact dimensions of this, but on the link it will tell you this is the actual one I'll be putting on the link, so you'll know this is the dimension of baking tray that Lissy used to do the flapjacks. And just press it down. Press it down all the way through. As I said, some of these somewhere have got more cherries than others. And I said this was just 200. You can put, I said, 300 grams worth of extra stuff in and still get a pretty decent flapjack. Now, a little word of warning. when they go in the oven, and they go in, they stay in until they're golden brown. Everybody's oven's a little bit different. So keep an eye on it. So after about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, take it out. If it's not golden brown, or if it's all golden brown on one side or not the other, just turn it around. The wonderful thing about flapjacks is it's not like a cake. So you can open the oven as many times as you want, although please try not to, because every time you open the oven, the heat drops and it won't cook as well. So don't open the oven a lot, but if you do after 15, 20 minutes and it doesn't look golden brown enough, or it's only on one side, you can turn it around, pop it back in the oven, or if it's just not brown enough, pop it back in the oven again for a little while, a little longer, and wait until it gets to the right crispiness on the top. And when you take it out, do not take it out of the baking tray. Leave it in the baking tray. It's the perfect time to cut them in the baking tray carefully, because obviously this is a non-stick baking tray, and if I have cuts down it, that's going to ruin the non-stick surface if I have a sharp knife. You won't need a sharp knife, to be honest. I mean, this is already lined, so the lining is going to give it a bit of protection. But even with a dinner knife, you know, that you just have your normal evening dinner with or whatever, just lightly score it so you've gone right through to the bottom very gently into the slices that you want. Then you leave it to cool in the pan, because this is a super crumbly dish. Once it's cool, then you can properly just sort of very gently chop all the way down the lines that you've scored, and then you can take them out as individual flapjacks. And then you can take them out as individual flapjacks. They will still be crumbly, because even though this gorgeous toffiness is keeping them together, but you know, that's what flapjacks are. That's what makes them so lovely. So handle them with a little bit of care. I mean, not with kid gloves, but you know, there we go, that's it. I've done that now. Just take those last bits of toffee covered oats off. So this just goes in the oven, 20 minutes, 180 degrees, possibly 160 fan if you want to. You know your oven better than I do. And then when it comes out, score the lines very gently, but make sure it all stays in the pan, cools down in the pan, and then you can take them out and put them in an airtight container and keep them for a few days, possibly a week, and they'll be fine. These never last longer than a few days, as I have teens in the house, and they love flapjacks and sour cherry flapjacks. Again, remember, you can put any fruit you want in, or you can have it fruit-free, or you could put in choc chips, and you can also leave it plain and then decorate it with chocolate afterwards if you fancy. Totally up to you, totally your choice. So what I'm going to do is pop these in the oven, and I will see you when they come out. Hello my darlings, welcome back. Now we have a slight situation here that these are a little bit too brown that I actually like them. They should be more, but they are quite golden, but they're a bit sort of brown and around the edges. Normally that's fine. It's just that because I've got some sour cherries in there, the sugar on them may have burnt a little bit, but I'm pretty sure the kids won't mind. It's not that bad. But I do want to show you what I have to do when you take them out. So it's still very hot in the pan. I've got a dinner knife, and I hope you can see okay. I shall put it close to the camera in a minute. So you just see, I'm not going like that across it. I'm just pressing down. So we go through. Oh, this is where it gets tough. Is the crispy side, super crispy side. I quite like those ones, to be honest. And you do this all the way down. So you've got the strips this way, and then what you do is then once you've done, I'm not going to do the whole thing so it'll bore you. So you do that all the way down, and then you go lengthways. So I'll go from the bottom on this one. Normally I go from the top, but you go lengthways and press down the lines. So you then get them into squares. And so they're roughly into squares while it's still hot, and then when they've cooled down a heck of a lot more, you can take them out. Again, I usually use the greaseproof paper. I've got them in, and I lift it up and slide them on to the cooling rack. And then you can cut them properly all the way through. But while you do this while they're still slightly warm, it means it just makes life easy for you, because once they're cold, they're quite brittle, and you'll find it sort of damages the flapjacks even more to sort of cut them when they're cold. So this way you're kind of just making those lines easier, so when you do come to cut it completely, you don't lose a whole load of flapjack. But you know, if you like it like that, you want a whole big try and rip it off as you go. Who am I to argue? It's absolutely your choice. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to let these cool, and then I will pop them on some plates for the kids, and I will show you the photo, which you'll see in a minute, of the finished flapjacks. And I really hope you enjoy them. If you do them, please let me know. If you have, please try and take a photo if you can. I understand if they're so yummy, you just want to eat them straight away. But if you manage to take a picture, please tag me, let me know, because I love seeing the things that you do. Also, if you've got any changes, something you find that's particularly delicious in them, or an easier way or something like that, let me know as well. I love to be inspired. So all that remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for this flapjack recipe. You have no idea how much I appreciate you doing this with me and watching with me. It's just been lovely to have your company. So thank you again, and I really hope I see you for another video. So you take care of yourselves if you're fat. You take care of yourselves if you're making flapjack. I can't say it. Oh my God. If you're making flapjacks. There you go, I got it right. I'll start again. If you're making flapjacks, and not only all the weird things I was trying to say just now, do enjoy them, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care, darlings. Bye. Oh dear. Simon, have you got a plate? I couldn't say the word. Oh my gosh. Oh dear Lord, there were some rude combinations. And cut.